Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is Pabloon, aka Pabloon, and today we're going to be going really fast with the Marceau. I have a bunch of different clips from games and one high damage game where we just play Marceau. I had this epiphany last night while trying to sleep, where I was thinking, why haven't I played more Marceau? I kind of forgot what this ship was like, and I thought today we're going to do a video about that. So, the Marceau here came out a long time ago, and it's actually one of the few tier 10 ships that came out in a bundle. So, if you could even imagine that, let's take the newest tier 10 coming out, the Alvaro de Bazan. Could you imagine if that thing came out in a bundle? Well, that's what this was. Marceau is a really good destroyer. Not as good as Alvaro, but it is fun. It's one of the fastest ship, and I think it is the fastest ship in the game if you spec it with the camo and everything. Because you get speed boost 4, and you get 5 uses, so you can practically be using speed boost the whole game. You also get defensive fire 2, but that's not really the main point of this ship. It is the speed and these guns. 127mm that reload in 3 seconds. And you have 8 of them, as you can see. There's 4 turrets with 2 barrels in each. And I cannot... There we go. It also gets really good torpedoes. It's really... Actually, the biggest selling point for me is the torpedoes. You get a 40-second reload for 6 torpedoes per side, which is not bad at all. They have 9km range. They don't do the most damage, but they are still really good. And they're also decently fast. Not the fastest, but they're not too slow either. And the fire chance 2.40, not the highest, but with a 3-second reload, you should not be running into trouble setting some fires. The AP is also exceptionally good against DDs, as you will see in these clips. I am running the historical camo. It gives you surface detection. I can't remember what the special camo gives you, because I don't have it, so you'll have to excuse me for that one. But for the elite bonus, I don't go for speed, I actually go for the guns, because I feel like the speed you get with Marceau here is enough. But yeah, if you want to spec this for full speed, it can be really fast, 60 knots plus. For my build, I'm running reload mod and the standard steering gear. Concealment, again, if you want to run propulsion, go for it. But I tend to not stop as much in this ship, so I want to be using my rudder more. I am running Robert Chauchat, I think that's how you pronounce it. The reason is, it's just all the skills that he gives benefit Marceau so much. I used to have it on my Colbert, but, you know, Giant Hunter Plus is here, and it's a torpedo with really good torpedoes. And yeah, that's about it for this ship. Let's go in and check those games I got. Right, so this first game here is the highest damage I got. But there was a certain CV duo out there, meaning that, you know, there was just not a lot of damage to farm. I mean, obviously, when you have a CV tune or division, they will farm a lot of the battleship damage. So this was the best game I had where we got to farm a little bit. And you can see we're doing something that I tend to say you shouldn't. But flanking in Marceau might be the best option, really, because if you look at the ship, it's, of course, very fast. It's not the most maneuverable. It is decently at, you know, at turning, but it doesn't have a smoke, nor does it, you know, have any sonar or radar or something to help itself in a cap. So that's why I'm going so far out in this flank here. Now, these torpedoes looking really good on Grosavoy. Unfortunately, they do run out, but with such a fast reload on the torps, you really shouldn't be worried. And you can just see the rain of AP you can shower on a DD. The shell arcs and the shell travel speed isn't the best, as you can see. It is kind of like playing an American cruiser at distance with the Marceau here, but that's one of the trade-offs for having such a good reload. But you can see we can easily land hits on this Grosavoy, even though we're at max range right now. So you can see just base while turning and maneuvering, we are doing solid 44, 43 knots, which is extremely fast. Your biggest deterrence for any enemies to shoot at you is your speed. And just turning a little bit is going to alter, you know, if they're going to hit or not, the enemies. So this Grosavoy here is just slowly creeping towards me. Look at our HP, we haven't lost any, and he makes the mistake of turning in to our torps. He actually doesn't get hit by it, but the guns took him out instead. So now we can actually just push up, and we have a Slava who's pushing us here. So I don't see any reason to push closer to the enemies. I'd rather just stay where I am and make sure Slava is the only target who can shoot at me. I actually thought, because of the top tier players title, I actually thought this was the #1 player on Europe last season. So I was being really careful, and until I realized, wait, that's top tier player. That's like the title everybody owns. So I activate my speed boost and decide we're just gonna go on his starboard side here where he can't shoot at us. His guns are pointed the other way, so we're pretty safe to do this. And what we're basically aiming to do with Marceau here is get all of our torpedoes off both sides. So since he isn't aiming at me, I'm gonna steer towards him now and try to see if we can get both sides of torps on this dude. So we just used the right side, now we turn to the left, use that side, and right now our right side torpedoes just came off cooldown, so we also have those. You can see the torpedoes we just fired are ready in 30 seconds again. I don't know how this crew is able to reload these torpedoes so fast when the ship is going 50 knots. I don't know if you guys have been on a ship that goes 50 to 60 knots. I mean, you can definitely move around, but it's you know, you can feel the movement of the ship. So I could just imagine Marceau's crew just running around, falling all over themselves, trying to reload these torpedoes as fast as this ship reloads. So we're immediately going to go for this CV here, and it's just the same idea. This time we're just going to do the long turn and turn like this. You see 6 torpedo hits, very, very easy damage. And once we turn around, we just kind of predict where he's going to be at the time our torpedoes hit him. And we're going to focus our attention on the Mogador. Now, at this point, we are pretty overextended. This was my first game of the day in Marceau and in a long time. So I think I got a little bit tunnel vision and carried away. But we actually end up killing the Manfred as we go down to this Mogador here, and we got ourselves 120k. I remember being surprised by how fast this damage just went up. Now we do lose this game, but don't worry, I have more clips for you guys. Okay, so this clip right here is a domination game mode, and I can't remember the names of maps, guys. I never can, only the new ones. But you guys have probably played this map. We're going into the cap here and immediately turning off to the right. I want to peel away and get as much distance between me and an eventual target, because we will probably get spotted here. We're playing versus a shimmer, and indeed that is what we find. We spot each other at somewhat the same time, and he instantly uses his single smoke. So now it becomes a little bit of a gamble. I could have continued, which I should have done, but I thought the guy had fired torpedoes. So I was taking a risk here of holding my, you know, my speed up and running away to now, which was a mistake because he actually held his torpedoes, and now I'm going max speed. He doesn't need to account for my potential engine juke, and he actually gets one set off. Goes down to the Ibuki, but he does hit us with 2 torpedoes here, and that was a bit of a mistake. And now we have a Santander pushing, and well, this is probably one of the cruisers I was least hoping to face. Santander is difficult to deal with, and I'm banking on my torpedoes doing the work here, because we are actually undetected in a second. You can see the first set of torps, they're just making their way over there, and it can be very difficult for any player for that matter, any ship, especially cruisers and battleships, to gauge how much you have to turn. This guy doesn't really turn that much, but he, if he wanted to dodge all that, he had to turn in towards me the second he saw me. That's kind of the deal with Marceau. You have to predict that those torpedoes are going to be on you every other 10 seconds. There's going to be a set coming, and you can see we're firing once again. And again, we're just going to turn around, make it hard for him to hit us. Full speed, speed boost activated, and yeah, just running away. I believe these torpedoes are what's going to finish him. He could have helped himself by turning around, of course, but I'm not going to complain about getting some free Santander with torpedoes. He actually doesn't go down to the torps. Again, you can see how they don't do the most damage, but they do more damage than a Holland torpedo, right? I got another domination example here. One reason I really love the French DDs in general, both Colbert and Marceau, is the speed you have in the beginning. And especially with Marceau here, where you have 5 speed boosts. It's not a bad idea to use a speed boost immediately after getting into the game and barreling towards the closest cap. In this case, it was Charlie for me. And then just kind of waiting here to see who shows up. There is a Delny on the other team, so I was hoping I wouldn't see him here, but that is what we see. And luckily, this Delny hasn't realized he needs to use AP, because I think he uses HE most of the time, which is very lucky for me. PSA to all the Delny players out there, if you are in a dogfight, or not dogfight, I've been playing too much Enlisted lately, but if you are in a fight with a DD, please, for the love of God, use AP, it's going to help you a bunch. But yeah, he goes down really quickly, and we are so lucky to have a Kremlin pushing our way. This Kremlin's full HP, and again, we're just going to sit here and wait. A little bit of a lag spike there, but it's no problem. He does start shooting at us in the beginning, but I think he switches attention to another dude here in a second. Again, the idea here is to wait for our torpedoes, and as soon as we get them, switch positions, get around this island, and just spam him with HE. Do get a fire there, which is nice, but with a 2.4% fire chance, yeah, it's not the fires you're really looking for. Don't get me wrong, this thing is a fire spammer. It's really good at it because of the amount of shells you can send out, right? But overall, I would say the torpedoes in this situation, this is where you survive. If Marceau didn't have these, then I think this ship would be a whole different story to play. But yeah, we're just gonna drive by this Kremlin, send in 6 torpedoes into his broadside, and I was thinking about turning the other way using my second set, but then I thought, well, I got a whole team here to help me with this Kremlin, so we're just gonna use our guns to finish him off, and yeah, that goes well. So yeah, you can see the absolute insanity Marceau is capable of. I mean, I remember when the ship came out in that bundle and everybody bought it. It was such a fun time in tier 10. Everybody was playing Marceau. And that, you know, you can see that as both fun and annoying. I found that to be hilarious. Another thing that speed gets you is the ability to show up when you're not expected. This Manfred was super low for some reason. Maybe he's been CV sniped, I don't know. But I don't think he expected the enemy team, i.e. us, to be that close to him so early in the game. It's only been 3 minutes. So yeah, that's another thing speed gets you. But as you saw in the first game, speed also gets you into situations that can be hard to get out of, i.e. overextension. So yeah, Marceau is definitely a high octane cruiser. What am I saying, cruiser? Sometimes it feels like a cruiser. It definitely does. When you're brawling other DDs, your AP damage, it's so consistent with those 400 and something damage you get per hit that you almost feel like a light cruiser with the firepower you have. So here's this final clip I have, and it's pretty much just showing how Marceau can be extremely good at also contesting capture points. We saw with the Delny. This time it's a Shimakaze, and again, we're just going to barrel towards the cap. I'm sending my one side to, you know, my one side of torpedoes to deter anyone trying to push out that way and maybe hit somebody. People typically traverse this little opening here between the islands, and I've gotten a lot of lucky torpedoes in my time. So we're sitting here, we are waiting for this DD to make a mistake or push out, or I'm going to, you know, probe him, make a probing attack to see if we can get him to use some of his torps. In this game, I am playing with an FDR division, or, well, they're not in my division, but there is an FDR division, so I wasn't focused on getting damage this game. I was pretty much just focused on playing the game and moving on to the next one, because yeah, there's not really much damage to farm with an FDR. You all know that. But we actually work the probe here. It works out pretty well. Shima was pulling back here, and we found him. He's gonna launch torpedoes. We don't know how many he's gonna launch, but the hope is that he launches all of them. We see only one, so we know there's 2 more. Because of the speed I have, once I activate my speed boost and I go beyond the island and he can spot me, it's going to be extremely hard, especially because I'm not running propulsion mod, for me to stop. But since we see 2 torpedo sets here, we're going to activate our speed boost and we're just going to show up next to this Shimakaze. This is all I was waiting for. I was literally just waiting for torps. I'm going to send some to this side in case he runs away. But he shows up right here. Luckily, this guy has no more torps, and it's pretty much just easy pickings. As you can see there, 415 damage almost every time. He smokes up, so we're just gonna wait here. I'm gambling and hoping that there's no chance this guy's gonna be able to send another set. You know, the first one he launched is not ready yet. So we just go full speed, and here he is. You get the final salvo in, boom. And that is how you could easily contest a cap. Now this also works with any other DD that doesn't have a radar. And if you're wondering how many torpedoes have been sent out by this enemy destroyer, where are they? When you don't possess a radar or sonar or stuff like that, doing a probing attack like that is really, really efficient. Now, I could have just, rushed that Shimakaze, but like I was saying before, it's gonna be hard for you to stop your ship once you're plus 55 knots. That's pretty fast. I don't know how much that is in miles per hour, but I feel like 55 knots is like at least 80 kilometers an hour. Let me search that up. 55 knots. It is 55 knots to, it's 63 miles per hour. I mean, that's pretty darn fast. How about kilometers per hour? Yeah, it's 101 kilometers per hour, guys. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the reason you don't go bum rushing into a Shimakaze, even though you have the upper hand with both guns and torpedo reload and speed, you should take into account your stopping distance. Now we found the Manfred here, and Jamin is he's at up shit creek, let's just call it that. And the game is pretty much over. You know, that FDR tune, they pretty much took out everyone. So yeah, there wasn't really much for us to do, but I guess we can say our flank didn't fail. We only really had a Shimakaze to deal with. So me and this Yamato here, we just kind of were on autopilot this game. But that is also pretty much it for this video here, guys. I just felt like playing Marceau, like I said, and I think I got some pretty funny clips. At least I feel like we're selling the main selling point of Marceau: speed, fast guns, fast torpedoes, and it's a French ship. It's absolutely lovely and fun to play. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more content. My name has been Bubloon, aka Pabloon, and I am signing out.